Well, I've hit the record button. May as well start recording. What a fine idea. Just before we get going, a little bit more to the preamble today. The dogs next door and downstairs, one of my neighbor's dogs have been going absolutely ballistic and howling um, on and off for the past hour or so. So I just want to get it on the record that I do not have some sort of dog fighting training ring going on in my apartment anywhere in the background. That's whatever it is happening at a neighbor's place. I have no idea. They might just be howling at the mailman or fucking Amazon. Who the hell knows? But that we're not here to talk about the dogs. We're here to talk about a number of things, which I will get to in a moment. First of all, this is a pre-record. You can probably tell by the sun beaming in through my window that I'm not doing this at my usual 8 p.m. The San Gennaro feast is wrapping up in a couple days, and I still haven't gotten there. And Friday night was the only night to do it, so San Gennaroing we go. And I know I do a lot of pre-records because I have like outings and social stuff to take care of. And that's just kind of the way it is. My schedule's a fucking disaster. So it's, you know, tis what it is. I would have gone to San Gennaro during the week so I could be live tonight, but I had to get an emergency not really an emergency, but like a last minute dental appointment because I fucking chipped a molar on a fucking what the fuck? What the fucking chicken on a chicken bone? So that like threw off my week because that made me rearrange a bunch of other shit, and here we are doing it's a lot to say that this episode is pre-recorded, and I apologize for not being there live, but that is just the way the molar crumbles. What else? Oh, yeah, social media. Twitter at Mike Montone, Instagram at Gary_Moiler. What else? Oh, the YouTube page, of course. That's the one I'm really supposed to be telling you about. The YouTube page is at Mike's Golden Streams. Or you can just search Sacktap Live Mike Montone, and it should come up somewhere in your search bar. And of course, the audio podcasts, the Savage Sacktap, available wherever you download. Is that it? Did I have anything else to tell you about? I will probably be pre-recorded next week as well. It's my lady friend's father's birthday, so obviously I can't not show up at that because I have to do Sacktap Live. That would be a different kind of conflict altogether. Is that it? Is that everything? Yes, I've put it all. It's all out there. You're caught up. That's what's going on. Okay. Sorry, I'm a little bit off. It is always weird for me too, doing this with no audience, like no comment section or anything like that, and in the middle of the afternoon. I always feel slightly askew when I'm doing that because I'm effectively just sitting. I'm sitting in a room in my apartment right now, talking to myself. Yeah, that's quite a thing, isn't it? But there is a lot to talk to. We had they tried to kill Donald Trump again. That this is just apparently. I don't even think it's the last one, but we'll get to that in a moment. Israel just like blew up everybody, fucking with beepers and pagers, and incredible. And then what was the other one? Oh yeah, Diddy, of course. Diddy, not a good week for Diddy. So we'll get into a little bit of all of that. Except before that, I did want to mention this. Apparently, the word flattering is out. We're not using flattering anymore. You cannot call an outfit flattering. If you call an outfit flattering, what it apparently means is that the person you're talking to is fat, and that the the flattering nature of the outfit is in that it covers up unappealing portions of this person's body. So we've gone completely off the fucking deep end. I guess this is a Gen Z thing, which of course I remember when millennials were the biggest douchebags on the block, and I think now millennials have very much shifted towards that Gen X way of being, where we just want to be left the fuck alone. Like, we really just want to be left alone. We don't want to deal with it. It really feels like right now the world is a tug of war between boomers and Gen Z, and everyone's just caught in the middle of it. And equally, I think both sides really, really like fucked in the head. Just wild stuff. It's no surprise that the first person who tried to kill Trump was Gen Z. Like, that doesn't shock me at all. I don't know what those little psychos are capable of. But this flattering isn't flattering thing came across my Twitter feed, and a lot of people were commenting on it, saying that they were ugly or fat when they were growing up, and they hated hearing the word flattering when it came to clothes. And then some people started commenting that this is specifically why. It was an ad for women's jeans, and the jeans were all sort of like mom jeans, like loose and high-waisted, like the kind of things that just, there was no sexuality to them whatsoever. They were purely just sacks of denim for you to sit your fucking your legs into. It appeared that they made no effort to be attractive. And the woman shared it, and she was like, she seemed like a millennial woman. She's like, I'm still wearing my skinny jeans. Like, that's what fucking outs me as a millennial. But I just can't get behind wearing like frumpy looking jeans like this, or unflattering jeans like this. She specifically used the words unflattering. And that's when a bunch of people started commenting that, part of the reason that people are wearing baggy clothing now is because they're so tired of having to try to flatter their body. And they were going on these diatribes about how they had no confidence when they were growing up. And so they started wearing, apparently Michael Vick is back. I have no idea what's going on, but if you're hearing that, it seems to go for like 20, 30 seconds at a clip and then dies down. I'm not sure what they're all riled up about. It's such a sad sound. I just want to go give them belly rubs, but alas. Anyway, apparently this was going on. I had no idea this was going on. Like, I don't think anyone ever commented on my clothing when I was a teenager. My basic attire as a teenager was, whatever I could get with like the Abercrombie and Fitch gift card that I got for Christmas, plus my employee discount there, because I had abs, so that meant I got to work at Abercrombie. And then, if not that, I was wearing like a Glen Rock High School football T-shirt. Like, it was one or the other. Like, that was pretty much my wardrobe. And I remember, off like my high school girlfriend would bitch that like, oh, you're wearing a football T-shirt again. Like, that is all that anyone ever said to me about my wardrobe was stop wearing football stuff. But that's what high school football players do. They just walk around in football T-shirts. I never the only thing I care about is if I was wearing sleeveless, if my guns were looking good. I don't know what this is. It's so weird that the last like generation and a half, people have gone out of their way to sort of raise them with all of the self-esteem in the world. And instead it has somehow manifested itself in this sort of listless, scared of everything group of nut jobs. They're very much like, have you ever seen like a really effeminate dude when he's been pushed to the edge and finally snaps and like goes back at someone and just goes fucking ballistic? Or like Ralphie in A Christmas Story. Think of like a grown-up Ralphie, and he's like that sort of annoying, mildly fruity guy in your office, or in whatever social group you happen to operate in. When Ralphie goes off and just beats the shit out of Scott Farkas. It feels like Gen Z has a lot of that. They're very strange. And it's funny to me. And I don't know if this has always gone on. When I remember when I was growing up, I did not think in terms of generations and ages and stuff like that. It just, none of it never occurred to me. I never had adults were this just sort of other entity that I didn't think about. I was like, oh, when you graduate college, you'll enter that world. Like, it wasn't a thing that I didn't contemplate the differences between me and adults. I wasn't obsessed with identifying with my generation. I still don't. I don't give a fucking shit about my fucking generation. What? Your generation. But it does seem that the younger couple, and there are a lot of weirdos my age. I could go off forever. What my generation, if I want to describe it, is, I feel like you're either really, really cool, or like a really, really sort of milk toasty fucking dullard who has decided to live a life of sort of you know six-figure income debt slavery. I feel like is the best way. So I feel like that's a lot of my generation is like that. Because I think they felt a lot of pressure from like their parents and grandparents to sort of, go pursue the Rockwell version of the American dream, which is there's a steep price tag on that these days. But yeah, the Gen Z is they're nuts about their generation. They are obsessed with the idea of generations. They're bitching about millennials and boomers. Gen X just fucking flies under the radar. Respect. But it's weird because I feel like there was a time when like the idea of like teenagers were sort of like, they're supposed to be sort of intimidating, like, hey, well, watch out, you're teenagers. And now I think of like teenagers and 20-somethings as just sort of a bunch of like, I don't know, they all seem like they're kind of fucking like pussies. Like they're all a bunch of they're all just kind of listless little fucking wieners. I don't know. And I hear it from, I talk to a lot of people who coach, like especially in like football and stuff like that, and they talk about the quality of the athlete and the toughness and the amount of time kids miss with injuries and shit. I'm I'm sort of blown away and confused by it. Like it just doesn't register at all. I don't understand how it used to be. Like if you grew up through the 90s, you would be constantly, I feel like, being told like by parents and elders and stuff to just kind of, hey, shut the fuck up, get out of the way. The adults are doing this. This is the adults. Like you like I said before, you existed in a sort of different world. Now, there are people who want teenagers or 17-year-olds to vote. Like they think there are adults who think that's a legitimately good idea. So it's just a fascinating shift. Anyway, this is all to say that current clothing is ugly as fuck, and we need to get past it. We need to get over this baggy, ugly. It's not cool to be ugly. Present yourself well. Present yourself. So the first thing that people see, or the first impression that people get, is how you present yourself physically to the world. You should take care of yourself. You should groom yourself. You shouldn't groom yourself to, well, we'll talk about Diddy in a minute, but, you should dress stylishly. It's important. Or if not stylishly, at least like presentably, for whatever that means for your status and income level. But yeah, a lot of news to get to. So first of all, they tried to kill Trump again. This guy, Ryan Wesley Ruth. Always got to go three names when talking about a presidential assassin. So he had I guess he had an AK at, was he at it was Mar-a-Lago, right? Yeah. Down in West Palm. This guy went from Hawaii, and he had made himself a little sniper's nest, the New York Post calls it, because he was bothered about the war with the. This is a fucking quite a connection. This guy was against the war in the Ukraine, and he didn't like Trump because Trump gets along with Putin, which is all right, I guess. I don't like. I'm blown away by people who, if you'll forgive me for getting my train of thought interrupted by Lady and the Tramp out there, fucking going nuts over a dish of spaghetti in the alley. But I don't understand people who are so moved by politics that they do shit like this. Like, even at the lowest level, like people who are so moved by politics that they will spend all of their 4th of July weekend arguing, like writing multi-paragraph Twitter threads, literally on July 4th at 1 in the afternoon. Like, it has become one of my favorite things to do, is scrolling social media, like when I'm taking a shit or something like that, over a summer holiday or like Christmas or something like that. And there will be people who are just all out fucking bickering with each other, back and forth, paragraph for paragraph, on like Labor Day or Christmas, or like, it's incredible. It really, really is amazing that with your limited time on Earth, that's how you choose to spend it, is proselytizing to complete strangers, and mostly probably like bots and OnlyFans accounts, about these deeply held political views that you only realized you had within the last couple of years. Went your entire life without giving a shit about any of this stuff, and all of a sudden social media came along and you decided to become like this amateur politico. It's really, really fascinating. And then to take it like a level higher, right? The people who they spend their free time going to marches and rallies. Going to marches and rallies, protests, against just the most ridiculous thing. Like, the most ridiculous thing to me is when people like have a protest to demand that their small town city council fucking denounce or like divest from Israel, or like demand that Netanyahu fucking call for a ceasefire, like just these things that their town council has zero impact or effect on, and they're like, yeah, this is what we're gonna do, because it gives them a feeling of importance, right? Like I said, there are a lot of American society in many ways has become incredibly milk toast. Everything is, uh, you know, my parents downsized from the house I grew up in. They moved to the neighboring town, and they moved into this new apartment complex that had been built, and it had, down on the ground floor, there's an Anthony's coal fire pizza, which is a chain. It's very like a great place for wings, beer, and pizza. Big step up from most kind of places like that. But Chipotle, fucking a yogurt, whatever, one of those corporate yogurt places, Starbucks, all of that shit. And this is becoming a lot of America, right? A lot of America is these prefabbed apartments. Everything, it all looks the exact. Everything is completely fucking white and slate gray. There's no color or life to anything. There's a lot of interior design and decorating is like that these days. I don't. Every once in a while, I speak like I'm having a stroke. Yeah, hopefully not. That would be terrible. It's all become very, very sort of. I don't want to say it's not it's almost like something out of a Twilight Zone where you go everywhere and everyone is the same. It's all the same. It's just the apartments all look the same. Down on the ground, there's the same Buffalo Wild Wings, the same fucking Orange Theory Fitness. Like everything is just, it's becoming very homogenized. There's not a lot of excitement and interest in people's lives, and I think they've come to try to medicate that with this sort of political fervor, this anger, that what? I don't. What are you doing? Like, what, you went to a what? Like, they had, like, the small town that I grew up in it's like literally every time there is a hot button political issue going on, this group of like liberal parents will, they'll host like demonstrations and like pride marches, and like they're fighting against like anti-trans bigotry, and like someone staged a fake hate crime. They fucking spray painted on the sidewalk in the middle of town, trans people go home, or something like that, not realizing that a bigot would not call them trans people. It was they committed a respectful fake hate crime. And in the town next to that, Ridgewood, there was some teenager got arrested at a Black Lives Matter protest that I believe consisted like entirely of white teenagers. It's just it's incredible. Like I mention this every year. They no longer have a Halloween parade in the neighborhood I live in for the kids. They have a Dia de los Muertos celebration, and it's the fucking hilarious thing about it. As if it wasn't hilarious enough, they canceled the Halloween parade because they wanted to celebrate Dia de los Muertos instead. This is a neighborhood where not only has the local Latin population been aggressively displaced by whites and Indians, but it's also a place where whites and Indians pay migrants to tear down and rebuild the buildings that they chased those Latin American people out of, or priced them out of. There's a very, very funny dynamic here where like fucking um, Karen Karen wants to get her multicultural fucking rocks off in the neighborhood where, the bodega was replaced by the Little Dove Cafe, where you can sit in a garden and sip coffee and eat a $12 bagel. It's awesome. I mean, I fucking love it. You can't. There was a time I remember, when this was first getting going, when I was in like my early mid 20s or so, when that kind of thing would fucking rile me up and like anger me, and now I'm just like, oh, this is every day when you go out, you get to experience the highest form of comedy. Um, there was a shooting in my hometown, which is so fucking rare. Like, this is Glen Rock is considered one of the premier towns in Bergen County, which is one of the pricier counties in the state. Like I don't think I could not right now buy my way back into Glen Rock. Homes there, I think right now are going for like 2.5 million. Like, it's fucking absurd. And there was a shooting at the basketball court because it's located. We're right across the Passaic River from Patterson, and people from Patterson come to use the basketball courts in town. And sometimes people from Patterson are not so well behaved. If you don't know about Patterson, I'll let you look it up yourself. And there was a shooting, and then there was I believe a knife involved in another fight, and there's a big discussion on Facebook where people are like, hey, like, we need to do something about this. Like, we either need to lock the basketball courts and require permission and supervision to use them, or like a town ID or something like that. And there are so many people just grandstanding and going fucking crazy about the idea that we would ever do such a thing like that, and that this is just veiled racism, and it's just amazing. I don't remember anyone ever fighting or getting this hot about politics when I was growing up. This is such a new thing. Like, people had to discover a personality trait, and a frightening number, a chunk of the population decided to go with political nut job. It's off-putting and unappealing, and it feels like it's just a proxy for people to discharge of this like frantic mental energy and anxiety they have, instead of actually dealing with that stuff. It's quite fascinating. But yeah, I can't. That is all to say that it seems absolutely fucking crazy. You're living on Hawaii. I guess he had a job building houses or some shit. So fucking, just hang out. You're in Hawaii. Hang out at the beach. The spirit of aloha. What are you doing trying to kill the fucking president? You nut. What a dummy. Anyway. Also happening this week, Sean Diddy Combs placed on suicide watch at New York City jail as he awaits trial on alleged sex crimes. Don't worry, doggies. Diddy can't hurt you. Sean Diddy Combs placed on suicide watch in a Brooklyn jail where he awaits trial for his alleged sex crimes, as the 54-year-old's mental state is unclear. Yeah, so one of the things that always strikes me with these stories like this, or like Epstein or Weinstein, is not only what they're facing in terms of like jail time and the destruction to their reputation, but it's the complete inversion of everything. Like going from being wealthy beyond your wildest dreams and able to do whatever you want, like being so powerful that women would sit on a couch and masturbate in front of you because they knew that it would make their career in Hollywood. And fucking, you literally have an island dedicated to pedophilia. Or Diddy, he was doing. They were getting so fucking nasty that he had thousands of bottles of baby oil and hundreds of dildos. Like, even like an absolute pervert doesn't need more than doesn't need a double digit number of dildos. Um, it's incredible, and it's just so. You think about celebrity and the stock that people put into celebrity, and you're like, these people really aren't worthy of our adoration for the most part. He's being held at the MDC in Brooklyn. Oh yeah, R. Kelly has been there. Ghislaine Maxwell. The notorious jail has been plagued by tales of barbaric and reprehensible conditions for inmates. Not a pleasant place to be. It always puts things into perspective. Like literally, Tuesday afternoon, I'm in the dentist chair and they're fucking prodding and looking and seeing how they're going to fix my tooth that I busted. And I'm thinking, this sucks. Like usually this time Tuesday afternoon, I'd be taking a nice nap before I go teach my evening classes. Like instead, I'm gonna be fucking exhausted and cranky. I haven't eaten anything yet, and I've 2 hours of teaching class and an hour of setting up the gym ahead of me, and I have all this work, and I'm just like, oh, come on. It's gonna call, it's fucking dental. There's a little bit, there's some out of pocket expenses because the insurance doesn't cover everything. It's just a sort of cranky day. And then I realized, hey, it could be worse. You could be locked in the Brooklyn MDC, awaiting life-ruining fucking RICO charges like Diddy. Just earlier this summer, an inmate was murdered. At least 4 inmates have died by suicide there in the past 3 years. Diddy held without bail. Yeah, that picture of him. There's a picture of him in the park, Central Park, on Sunday, I guess the day before he turned himself in, or he was arrested at his hotel. And it's like it looked like he was in the middle of like the worst case of the Sunday scaries ever. And he was just like, fuck it, I'm going to go sit in the park. And it's funny, like, being in the military, I understand a little bit of what that feels like, because there are times, like, I remember, like, the day before I reported to OCS. It's one of the most anxious days of your fucking life, and it was so weird. Like, my parents were having, like, the living room and shit redone at the house I grew up in. So, like, there was all sorts of, like, fucking, like, the energy was, there's, like, guys working on shit and stuff like that, and, like, just trying to, like, relax and kind of get my shit together, uh because I have this very big challenge ahead of me. And I'm, gonna be going down to Virginia and sort of, like, going out into the great unknown. And, like, there's that, like, really intense, it's a different kind of anxiety. Like, you almost kind of, like, disassociate. At times you feel like you're there, but you're not even really there. And that's what Puffy looked like, in that picture in the park when I was looking at it. I was like, oh yeah, that's like. Like, he is literally the day before going off into the great unknown. Everything that he has known about life for decades, is about to, in the next few hours, it will powerlessly, for he will be powerless against it. It is going to invert itself, and go away. Which is just, it's such a fascinating state of mind. Like, it's like the way, the average sort of boring millennial Caucasian that I was talking about earlier. It's the way they feel on a Sunday around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, right? They've just been they've been living decadently since maybe Thursday night. They went out for happy hour after work. They worked from home on Friday and sort of half-assed it through a single morning Zoom meeting, and then took off the rest of the day. Netflix binged and junk food Friday night. Saturday, they're out and about, fucking doing some. Maybe they're out watching college football and drinking, or they're out at a pumpkin patch or a fall fest, just hammering calories and booze. And then Sunday, they're millennials very big on brunch. Millennials love a Sunday fun day drunk NFL brunch. And they just have themselves hammered and numb until about 5, and then around 5, 6 o'clock on Sunday, the reality sets in. That that fucking that, like, IPA fucking mimosa headache starts hitting them. Their stomach is probably, trending towards a little upset, because they've just been putting garbage food into it for the past, few hours, but really 3 days. And Monday is staring them in the fucking face. So if you've ever experienced that, which, again, we all, as you know, when I was in my 20s, I did a lot of Saturday, Sunday. It was pretty much a booze fest from Thursday through Sunday night. I'd have put the last whiskey down at like 11 o'clock on Sunday night. So it's certainly a feeling I'm familiar with. But that Diddy is experiencing, like, the ultimate Sunday scaries there. Um, yeah, just your last moments of freedom, probably ever. Possibly. Or he's at least, I mean, he's going to do decades. He's in his 50s. I mean, I guess he could do 30 and get out or something like that. But yeah, that's tough. Drugs, baby oil, lubricants, extra linens. These were all for the freak offs. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see, because I'm not a big rap guy, but you figure it is going to come out. which rappers got cornholed by Diddy to start their careers. I have heard rumors. Um, it's Meek Mill's name has come up quite a bit, and there were fucking rumblings about, I believe, Usher. So that to me is going to be the most interesting thing, I think, to come of all of this. And also if the videos of the freak offs ever get leaked to the public. And what other celeb, because Diddy was more than just a rap guy. He was he was a rap crossover to mainstream celebrity society, which means he was hanging out with a lot of people who were just in regular shit. So I think when the list eventually does come out, and I think his list will come out more than the Epstein lists have, because I think with Epstein, I think there's some kind of leverage somewhere that someone, I guess Ghislaine has over somebody, and something that I think a lot of those names right now are kind of, Ghislaine keeps her mouth shut, Ghislaine stays alive, Ghislaine will eventually get out of prison. But Diddy, I think he has less coercive ability. So I think a lot of it's going to be publicized, and I think a lot of people are going to demand. I think this is going to be more Weinstein, less Epstein, if I had to guess. But what do I know? And of course, the last story we'll get to today, because it was quite the news week. Like, I had all of these silly stories I wanted to get to, just ridiculous shit from the New York Post, and instead I got Trump. They tried to kill Trump, Diddy with all of his baby oil and dildos, and then Hezbollah took a fucking beating this week, courtesy of Mossad. Hezbollah was so confident that its brand new pagers were safe, they were still handing them out to members hours before thousands of the devices blew up this week. One member of the Iranian-backed terror group received a new gold Apollo pager on Monday that exploded the next day while it was still in its box. A pager given to a senior member just days earlier injured a subordinate when it detonated. Yeah, so Israel finds out that Hezbollah isn't using cell phones because they're trying to avoid detection. They find out that they're using pagers and walkie-talkies. Israel creates a shell company. This, I guess, a rough outline of how it goes down. Israel creates a shell company to sell pagers to Hezbollah and loads them with explosives, and then sets them off once Hezbollah has distributed said pagers and walkie-talkies. Incredible. Just think from a military perspective, the importance of this is, not only have you dealt a legitimate blow to your enemy's command and control, right? The thing that they had that they thought was a safe way to communicate is now no longer a safe way to communicate. But their entire confidence and ability to do anything without wondering if their pen is going to blow up is a massive battlefield advantage. And the fact that obviously you wounded and killed many terrorists, and overwhelming their hospitals and then hitting them with airstrikes. So well done by Israel on that front. I know people have feelings about Israel and Hamas and the civilian casualties and everything. I will tell you that uh, as a United States Marine Corps veteran, I have no sympathy for Hezbollah. They perpetrated the embassy bombing in Beirut that killed a bunch of Marines from 1-8 back in the 80s. And I just have no, I'm happy to hear that Hezbollah got their fucking dicks blown off. You do understand people being upset, I think, obviously, about Lebanese or fucking Palestinian children and women being killed, which is an absolutely horrific fact of war. I think blowing up a pager or a walkie-talkie that was directly for what people are not understanding. These were directly for use by Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a terrorist organization. Or even if you don't believe that they are terrorists, they are at least a military organization. They're a political military organization. These were the Israelis set this up like it wasn't like they just intercepted a shipment of beepers that was for sale in fucking Lebanon and Hezbollah happened to buy them. They acted as a company and sold them directly to Hezbollah for use in military operations. And so blowing them up guarantees that you're going to be, for the most part, hitting the bad guys. If you drop a 500-pound bomb on a building, there's always a chance you can miss and fucking wipe out an entire building full of civilians. Oftentimes, a lot of civilians are hit. It does go down like that. And obviously, there were civilians injured in this case as well. But I think if you wind up doing the math, I would imagine that something like this comes out as a best case scenario for civilians in terms of trying to take out or hamper the enemy as much as possible while avoiding the greatest number of civilian casualties. But Israel's in such a tough spot because you're dealing with people who want to wipe them off the map completely. So as much as guys in the Israeli, defense, military, intel communities may be people who have hearts and empathy and don't want to injure children, they also have a vested interest in keeping Hezbollah at bay. And if you're going to keep Hezbollah at bay, you have to do things to interrupt their command and control and their ability to operate. So that's that. I don't know if having your penis blows off hurts your chances with the virgins when you get to paradise, but I guess they'll be finding out at some point. Yeah, just an incredible move by Hezbollah. They used Petin, which is it's a high explosive, and what you need to blow up most explosives is it's heat and pressure, right? So it's you pack it inside. You pack the explosives inside the pager, and that tight packing with a heated battery on the inside. That's going to get hot when you page it or it fucking buzz or whatever little mechanism they put on it. That's going to overheat the device. Inside of that pressure, you get a nice little boom. That is the sort of $2 explanation I can give you based on my my time at breaching school at the combat engineer course. Yeah, but it's really it's incredible how they pull stuff like that off. The movie that they make about this eventually is going to be incredible. Um, I'm sorry, I'm scrolling through here and I'm seeing fucking pictures of these douchey Hezbollah guys with fucking gaping holes in their crotches, and it's filling me with joy. Um, ba. Anything else? No, I mean, what's coming? It's the anniversary of the October 7th attacks coming up. Yeah, Israel they don't fuck around. They do not fuck around. They did not appreciate that. And it's understandable. I mean, it's an absolute clusterfuck, and it's very hard to get into who's right and who's wrong when it comes to the Middle East, because there is obviously human beings. There is a lot of fuckery from all parties involved, but it's just, the people who were reading Bin Laden's letter to America on TikTok after this happened. It's another symptom of people turning fucking extreme politics into their personalities. But anyway, I believe I have to wrap up. Where are we at? Yeah, 51. I have to get going. I have to be somewhere in about an hour. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope I wasn't too rambling and incoherent today. I hope the sound of dogs being tortured to death by a pit bull fighting ring did not ruin your evening too much. Twitter at Mike Montone, Instagram at Gary_Moyler, Moyler, and of course Mike's Golden Streams on YouTube. All right, adios, motherfucker.